Welcome to You, AI and Us, a podcast series from the University of Southampton, focusing on outstanding scientific work relating to AI. I'm Zoe Hanson, the podcast lady, and I'm joined in this episode by Chiying. Chiying, who is this?
Yeah, so we've got Buddy here with us. So Buddy is a children-sized robot, and she's currently smiling to us, actually. Yeah.
Buddy is sat on the table in between us for this interview, and Buddy is the cutest little robot.
Yes.
Tell us about Buddy then and what Buddy does.
Yeah, so in one of the projects that Tuyen and also Bindi that we're working together, so Buddy help us to tell stories, share stories. Yeah.
Okay. So Buddy is a storyteller. It's sort of a children's buddy, isn't it? Now, we're going into a little bit more detail later, but just tell us what Buddy does. What's the idea behind Buddy?
Yeah, so the idea is we bring in Buddy to share a story about like climate action.
Okay.
Yeah, so Buddy has been into libraries, and we are planning to bring Buddy to schools, and Buddy has also been featured in several of the festivals that our university has held in the past. Yeah.
And Buddy is there to talk to children of what kinds of age groups?
Yeah, so, well, actually, the project aim is sort of like working with primary school and secondary school children and students, but then every time when Buddy appears, it's just all ages will come and listen to Buddy telling the stories, yeah.
Now, what inspired you to come up with a robot that will talk to children about climate action?
Yeah, so originally when Tuyen and Bindi, when we were together in this interdisciplinary project, the idea was actually for them to use generative AI to create climate action story. And then Tuyen, being an AI expert, he was like, well, actually, we can try to involve robots in telling the story that was co-written by the children together and see how they react to each other. And then we thought it's the novelty and the curiosity, you know, just seeing a robot will actually grab the awareness, the attention of the children. Yeah, so that's how we sort of like bringing robot at this point.
But and you've said about coming up with the story.
Yeah.
How did that come about? How did you put it all together and curate that?
Yeah, so we've done quite a few workshops in schools now. So the way that we do is we actually talk to the teacher first. We're asking like, oh, we want the student to write climate action story. Do they know anything about that? And they were like, yeah, we teach them about climate action, but they're not quite sure about writing story together. And then so we present this idea of robot there. And then all of a sudden they get so excited. And they were like, yeah, we want to try and we want to see the robot. It's almost like they see the robot as their companion, and they want to make sure the robot then can be able to be part of their community and share the stories. Yeah. So then what we do is we go into the class, and then we do a bit of like creative writing exercise. So I'm actually from the music department, so we do a bit of music exercise to help them to warm up and everything. And then they start to write story. And
when it's climate action, do you find that children are quite open to this, that they know something about it? Or is Buddy really helping them with that?
Yeah, this is really interesting. What we figure out is the children, the students are actually very familiar with the issue. And then what happened is actually quite a lot of them, you'd be surprised to see they sometimes get quite sad or depressed with some of the things that we talk about. So for example, like polar bear losing their homes and everything. But then through generative AI, they see generative AI as sort of like a neutral mediator. And they will be more willing to share their thoughts and their feeling through communicating with generative AI, then they come together with the story. It's very different. So we sort of compare it in our research. We sort of compare this experience of like they just write it with their friends instead of writing with generative AI. And what we figure out is they are more open to share their genuine feeling about climate action, because they see generative AI, it has no emotion whatsoever, and they feel more comfortable to share.
And so if they've written the stories, then Buddy takes those, and then what sort of story is Buddy telling?
Yeah, so basically at the moment, Buddy is, we've input the story that is written by the students, and then Buddy has been sharing all these stories.
So how many stories does Buddy have?
I think at the moment we have a book that published. We contain all the story written by the secondary school and primary school that's involved in the project. I think there are around 8 to 10 stories. Yeah, but actually we can also do it on the spot. So if we plug into a computer, to a laptop, and then children can write story, and then Buddy can sort of read it immediately afterwards as well. So yeah.
And we'll tell it to everybody that's there. What kind of response does Buddy get? Because I'm thinking that everybody will go, oh, he's so cute. Yeah. Does it change the way that the message lands?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, it really grabs the attention just because it's Buddy telling the story instead of myself or, like a person telling the story, because people just want to see. And
rather than a teacher as well. It lands differently, doesn't it? Yeah,
and then you will discover, for example, we've done this workshop in a local library, in Southampton City Library. So the kids were like so excited about the robot, and then at the end finish, we would just ask them, like, can you comment on the experience? Like, how did you find Buddy? And they'd be like, actually, I'm not so sure. I think I prefer my mum telling me that story. So it's actually quite interesting, because you know how nowadays the narrative is saying, we are like getting really anxious about like robot is going to replace us and that sort of narrative. But actually, when we work with children, they are telling us like, no, it's not about that, but they see the robot is sort of like a companion to help them instead of like replacing, because they still think like, for example, mummy's storytelling is more important. Yeah.
Tell me about your project. Refugee women, generative AI and music. These are not three things that we normally see or associate together. So tell me about that project.
Yeah, so this is a project that I work with Tuyen, supported by the Web Science Institute, so they have a funding. So what we do, why we are doing that is originally, I work with migrants group a lot here in Southampton. So in working with one of the group leader was telling me they have a group of women who is very interested in technology, but they do not have the trust to go into technology. They want to learn about generative AI, but they don't think they are capable. So then listening to that, I was like, well, let's do something. Let's create a project together. So my expertise is community music. So basically it's music and community. So I was telling her, well, how about this? We do a 3-part project. So first part, we bring in our university student, and then we work with migrant women, we do music. And from there, we create a group, a bonding and trust. And then part 2 is then our student teach the migrant women in terms of using generative AI. Now, this is the interesting bit, because what we know is this group of women, in the past, they have very strong trust to their leader already. Only, as I say, only, not already, but only to their leader only. So what happens is, if they want to find out any public access information, so for example, when the GP open, instead of Google, they will call their community leader and they say, can you tell me this information? But the leader was like, well, that's actually a lot on me. I want to empower them to be able to find information by themselves as well. So it's like, okay, let's try to help them with generative AI and then see whether they can communicate and blah, blah, blah. So part
it's 2... It's like an independence piece, isn't it?
An empowerment.
Yeah.
So part 2 is for our university students and also the women to work together in some tasks. So for example, they might be create recipe together. So they will be chatting with generative AI. Let's say if you only have £4 and you want to cook a dinner for 30 people, what will you suggest? How are you going to buy food and everything? So they do this interesting task to a point that the final task is actually to help them to address some sort of civil issues. So one of the women in the group have been telling us this, her really bean has been disappeared for 2 years already. But then she doesn't feel confident enough to go to the council or call or send an email to complain, because they think their response to, how they write is not British enough.
Okay.
So they might not be, people might ignore them. So we're like, well, let's use generative AI to help you to send a letter. So at the end, the student and the woman, they sort of like type the letter together and they send it out. And I think 2 weeks time or something, like the wheelie bin come back. So,
hooray for the wheelie bin.
Yeah, I know it's sort of like you might think it's very tiny, but actually what you're looking at is how the trust, and also empowering this group of wonderful women. They have lots of knowledge and insight to be able to share with the community. And also the other thing that we've been trying to tell them is how sort of the generative AI is very much a sort of like a Western narrative. Sometimes when they do recipe, they will be like, oh, this is wrong because the AI is not culturally sensitive enough. So I was like, well, then you should engage with them more, engage with the generative AI more, so that you can help to train it, and then it become more culturally sensitive and fits into your culture. And so now they've been, I don't know, I haven't been really, after Christmas, I haven't been really getting in touch with the grown women, but I believe in the past they were like telling each other we should be using it and we should teach generative AI about our culture as well. So it's really proud.
And that will, seep into the community then, won't it? And everybody's starting to use generative AI quite a lot more, aren't they?
Yeah.
And even for writing a letter, writing an email, all of those things, you can write it and then actually it will just make the best tweaks.
Yeah, but it's also very important that at the end of sort of like the whole project, we also do a session on responsible use of AI. Because we are aware there are like this information going around, and sometimes it's really difficult when you're like feeling this is so convenient and you just want to do that, but there are obviously like different complications. So for example, the trust and also this information, there are like video which is not making any sense going around, and also so we've done that also to make sure they have that understanding as well, to protect their own information as well. Okay.
Well, it's brilliant to find out what you do and how all of this works. You're going to be at the AI Arts Festival as well. What are you going to be doing there?
Yeah, we're going to be in the AI Arts Festival with Buddy. So Buddy is going to do storytelling. So Buddy is going to share the story that was co-written by the students and generative AI. And then we look forward to have the participant coming in and listen to Buddy.
So now I'm joined by Tuyen, and we've still got Buddy here. Talk to me about Buddy. How did Buddy come about? What does Buddy do?
Buddy is the robot produced by a company in France, and the Buddy is designed with the children's side, allowing him to interact with the children in a very easy manner. And as you can see, like the way of they design the Buddy robot, like it's very friendly, user-friendly, with the circle eye and Fisher's Captor friendly design. It makes when the children interact with the robot, like they consider the robot as a companion, as a friend, and they can co-create together, they can play together and doing something together.
And Buddy's got the cutest little face, hasn't he? So when you talk about climate action stories, what kinds of stories does Buddy tell?
Children, they are very creative about writing the story, especially the climate action. So during this project, like when we bring our project to the school, we can see that children, they have very creative idea, like some story about like I'm a Superman, I'm fighting for the war, for the climate change, something like that. And we think that by having the Buddy there, and the children and the Buddy can collaborate together for creating the creative story about the climate change, and then the Buddy can tell the story to the others.
Do you think that Buddy might be able to tell us a story now?
Absolutely, Buddy can tell many stories.
Okay, right. So what kinds of stories do we have?
Okay, so firstly, this is some story generated by the children at the primary school in Southampton. As you can see, they're very creative in the generating the story, but also in the image they generated with the support of GenAI. Right? And let's see.
So that's what they did. They wrote the stories and then they used generative AI in the primary school to make these stories and make the pictures that go along with them?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they did. So they use the GenAI to supporting them for generating the creative story, and then not just limited to the state, but they also use the support of GenAI for generating the picture, very creative picture to support for their story. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see the story about sea turtleia written by the Cane Hill Primary School.
Canes Hill Primary School, yep. And this is Sea Turtle Talia.
As Talia and her friends celebrated their victory, they noticed something strange. The toxic waste that had been dispersed by the whirlpool began to glow and transform. To their astonishment, the waste morphed into a mysterious, glowing substance that started to spread rapidly through the water.
That's amazing. And how do you see Buddy in the future? Do you think that every school should have a Buddy?
Absolutely. As the researcher working in AI and robotics, I can see that in the very near future, we can see the robot in many areas in our daily life, from the restaurant where the robot can provide the services support as the waiter or the waitress,
yes.
In the hospital or the elderly care house where the robot can support us for providing assistance to the elderly people, and especially in the school where the robot can support the teacher to educate the children, but at the same time the robot also plays a role as the companion, and with children they study together, they play together, and they grow up together.
And how do you think that communities should embrace AI? Robots aside, how is AI going to enhance the community?
As you can see now, AI is not something magic. It's only available for the researcher in the university. As you can see now, AI is everywhere, and everyone can use the AI for every single thing in their daily life. And as the researcher working in AI, I believe that in the very near future, people will accept the AI for many different tasks in their daily life, and at the same time, we also need to enhance their awareness on the AI responsibility, how to use it in the responsible and efficient way. And of course, building the trust.
And trust is something that comes up with AI quite a lot at the moment. How do we build a trust with AI? How do we integrate it best into our lives with a certain amount of trust?
Yeah. How can we build a trust with AI? I think that's it from both sides. From user side, maybe they need the user need to build their confidence, their efficiency on using the AI, so then they will know for sure how can use the AI in the appropriate way. And on the other hand, as the researcher working in AI, I feel that we are also responsible for making sure the AI is safety and trustworthy to the user.
So 22nd of March is the AI Arts Festival. How exciting is it to be at an AI Arts Festival?
Yeah, we couldn't wait for attending the AI Festival on that day. With Jean, Bindi, and me, and of course with Puddy, we will be there, and we will bring the successful story that we make in the project about climate change with children, and we try to showcase that to the community. And at the same time, the Buddy will tell the story that the Buddy collaborate with the children for writing about that to the community. And at the same time, we also have several interactive sessions where the children will have an opportunity to collaborate with Buddy for generating more creative story about the climate actions.
Amazing. So you can come along to the AI Arts Festival, get involved with Buddy and writing that climate action story.
Absolutely. So just come to the festival and interact with the Buddy and explore how the GenAI and robotics can empower our society for climate change, climate action stories.
Thank you, Tuyen. Thank you, Buddy, as well. And thank you for listening to You, AI and Us.